Okay, there are a few strong themes in the wave. Specifically, we're going to be looking at four. First theme that we find in the wave is that of groupthink or coercion. Now, coercion is to force or to get someone to object. Okay, so you force someone to do something. Okay, so the wave experiment starts innocently enough as an exercise in the power of groupthink. Ben Ross wants to show his students how thinking and moving as a group or a unit is appealing, and how the mindlessness of groupthink dulls individuals to their collective's actions. Okay, so remember, he wanted to show or to answer the question that was asked as to why so many Germans were able to continue with their daily lives while these atrocities happened. And did they not understand what was going on? Why did they stand up for what is right? Okay, how did they fall under Hitler's spell? As Ross realizes the effect the experiment is having on his students' productivity and attentiveness, as the days go by, he decides to expand the wave by printing membership cards and implementing a wave salute. Okay, so he introduces uniformity, so there's this collective that now takes place in the group. The second theme we look at is history in the past, and more specifically, how history serves as a warning for the present. Ben Ross shows his senior history students a film about the Holocaust, and as we read in the early chapters of the novel, some students are really affected by this screening or this viewing, while others really aren't at all and have no emotion towards it. As Ross attempts to impress upon his students just how recent the events of World War II were and how fragile the present moment still is, Strasser, who's the author, argues that forgetting the past makes the future more vulnerable to repetitions of the eras of history. In many ways, Ben Ross's classroom screening of a difficult-to-watch Holocaust documentary is the wave's inciting incident. So this is the start of the wave. Now remember, there are many parallels that can be drawn between this project of the wave and that of the Nazis and what they did in Germany during World War II. Ben Ross scolds his students for asking how the Nazis could have perpetrated such terrible violence and for just days later denying their own histories. Okay, this takes place towards the end of the novel by participating in a movement that veered dangerously close to the Nazi Party itself. The third theme is equality versus independence, or the price of total equality is the abandonment of independence and individuality. Okay, so when we become part of a whole, do we lose our independence? Do we lose our individuality? What makes us unique? It becomes clear that part of the wave's appeal is the ways in which it equalizes the student body and breaks down the barriers between cliques. Even the most popular kids like Laurie Sanders and David Collins find themselves reassessing their school's social organization and even befriending outsiders like Robert Billings. Remember when we went through the characters? Robert Billings was a typical stereotype of the class loser. Okay. As the wave takes hold of the school in full force, however, it becomes clear to the few remaining non-members of the wave that the price of total equality is the abandonment of independence and individuality. As the wave takes over Gordon High, the school students are entranced by how collectivism and community strengthen their student body. Remember how Ben Ross in the beginning keeps pushing the idea of community and how discipline will only occur through this collectiveness, this community that takes place. The wave makes everyone socially equal, which at first seems to be a good thing, but soon it becomes clear that the simmering resentments between individual members of the student body will not be erased by the wave's egalitarian message. Okay, what does egalitarian mean? Okay, so it's believing in or based on the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. Okay, so it's an adjective, so to describe society, an egalitarian society. Or if it's a noun, a person who advocates or supports the principle of equality for all people. Okay, he was a social and political egalitarian. So, on the outskirts, this sounds good. Equality, everyone's equal. However, nature takes over. As human nature, we don't always get along with each other. Okay, we will clash with people from time to time, and that's where this resentment builds up between these members of the student body. The fourth theme that we look at is that of influence of education. The out-of-control social experiment at the heart of the wave is one unorthodox educator's attempt to really connect with his students and to teach them important life lessons that they soon won't forget. Ben Ross doesn't want his students to memorize facts out of their textbook. He wants to truly educate them in the ways of the world. Okay, we know that Ben Ross takes a different approach in the classroom, often quite creative and supported, and is not seen to be like the other teachers. His students enjoy his classes, but this experiment is one that is very different and perhaps even dangerous. As Ross's experiment flies off the handle, however, and his students' feelings and reputations, and in some cases even their lives, come under threat, Strasser, the author, calls into question what the responsibilities of education are. And that is the theme. Okay, what responsibility does education have? Now remember, from history we know that what happens in schools and education itself is seen as a tool of propaganda, a way to convince the masses, to convince the population, okay, of a certain ideal or way of thinking. And that's what Hitler did, and even during apartheid South Africa. He's a restless thinker and deeply inquisitive. Okay, he doesn't want to settle for just teaching his students facts out of the textbook. He wants to engage with the world around them. Okay, he really wants them to feel deeply the lessons of history and to really think about what they are learning and how it applies to their lives and their relationships. Ben's intentions are good, but his methods for pushing the boundaries of the role of the educator are faulty, and that's what leads to, is it perhaps irresponsible, okay, the plan that he comes up with, or the experiment. Okay, so hopefully by now you've got a good idea of what a theme is, how to identify the theme, and what the four themes are in the novel that we have started reading. As you continue to read the novel, make note of the themes that appear in each chapter, and think about how these themes become evident as the plot progresses. You may even want to think about how these themes are evident in today's life and in your own lives. To show that you've watched this video, please attach a photo that is relevant to one of the themes. It could be a picture of Google that you've downloaded. Just attach it to today's classroom assignment, just for us to see that you've gone through this video. I've attached the two different YouTube videos that we watched in the beginning of the lesson separately as well, in case you'd like to go through them again.